Hey folks, this is One for the Road, a John Caldwell podcast exploring Mississippi highway issues and infrastructure challenges. Here there's one person and one voice standing up for the road you travel, the road less traveled, the road in most need, and ultimately the road ahead. Each episode we will shed some light on the who, what, when, and why mysteries that leave many of us scratching our heads, searching for better answers. This is Commissioner John Caldwell. Thanks for listening to One for the Road. Episode 9, the 3 R's, Roundabouts, Red Lights, and R-Cuts. Welcome back. This is our 9th episode of One for the Road with John Caldwell. During this episode, I'll talk about issues and modern engineering solutions at highway intersections. It's not uncommon to hear concerns about highway intersections. After all, that's where the accidents happen most often. That's where the frustration is when the red light is too long and traffic backs up. Or maybe where a signal is needed or wanted or not needed. That's where we're putting those controversial roundabout circle thingies, not to mention placing median barriers smack dab in the middle of some intersections, which keeps traffic from crossing a certain highway and forcing traffic to make a right turn, U-turn, right turn sequence known as a J-turn. Sometimes those median barriers have turn lanes cut into them, allowing left turns from the main highway, but still no cross traffic. That's nothing more than a modified J-turn, referred to as an R-cut. Mention the installation of a fancy new roundabout and watch the local social media explode with lovers and haters, with the haters being the most vocal. All we need is a 4-way stop, they'll say, or just hang a traffic light and call it a day, why don't you? Not so fast. Regrettably, roundabouts, red lights, and R-cuts all cost time and money. Too much time and too much money. Stop signs cost less, but rarely meet the needs of problem intersections. A solution for one of us creates a problem for another. The following conversation has been had more than once. How much does a red light cost? Maybe $350,000 or so, depending. Well, can we get one for our intersection? Oh, that one will cost $1 million, or take 4 to 8 years. Or I'm sorry, that intersection doesn't meet the warrants. The what? The warrants? Conversation rarely ends well. Obviously, we can't put a 4-way stop, a traffic signal, or a J-turn or a roundabout at every place someone has asked for help. We need to make sure the intersection qualifies for some sort of improvement based on actual traffic patterns at each location. There are pros and cons for any proposed solution. It takes a bit of time to get any intersection properly assessed by our traffic division. Sometimes we assess and reassess more than a few times as traffic patterns change. In cases where a traffic signal or some other improvement like a roundabout is warranted, that intersection is moved onto a long list of qualifying intersections. Extra money is not just sitting in a pot waiting on another request. We have very limited funds, so we try to prioritize those based on the need. We then must engineer the proper solution in-house or by hiring private engineers. Even hiring engineers can take us another calendar year and beyond. Often, an environmental assessment is needed before proceeding with engineering. Hiring those guys takes time. More often than not, preliminary engineering will point out that some acquisition of right-of-way will be required. Buying rights-of-way requires professional surveys, more time. Surveyed properties require professional appraisals, more time. Offers are made and sometimes not readily accepted, more time. Many times the appraisal is contested in court. Finally, after the purchase, there are usually utilities to move, which requires utility engineers, crews, and contracts, time, and money in order to relocate them. All the while, final engineering is completed and the project is scheduled based on funds available. Bids are received and hopefully accepted. If accepted, there's more lag time prior to the contractors receiving a notice to proceed, an inevitable timetable for mobilization and construction, and of course, weather delays. Typically, years will pass from the first conversation until any improvement is made. I can think of several intersections across the district that were identified as many as 10 years ago as needing a light or a roundabout or some other improvement, and we are still years away from a solution. Without a doubt, that is my greatest frustration as your commissioner, and I still can't fully digest the reasoning, explanations, or answers that I get when I ask, what's taking so long? It's as if the process tail is wagging the solution dog. Thankfully, we have good folks working to make things happen. They work through the lengthy process and the frustrations most of the time. For those of you who have been fortunate enough to see it happen faster, congratulations. The rest of us are more than a little envious. So let's talk about intersections and some of our options. Even the safest intersections, the ones on our interstates, which are normally miles apart, deal with merging traffic and high speeds and driver error. Any intersection requires some extra attention of our drivers. MDOT engineers always reevaluating our highways for ways to improve them. Wider shoulders or bridges, longer ramps, better visibility, safer angles, stripes, signage, signal lights, and more. Divided highways with wide medians and partially limited access are typically considered safer too, as opposed to those without medians. But the higher speeds afforded to the drivers can create other safety challenges. Dark, unlit driveways and cross streets along these high-speed thoroughfares can be extremely hazardous, and driver error can be costly. You've heard it, I've heard it. Someone's going to get killed. Yes, you're correct. We can't prevent every traffic fatality. Sadly, there are too many injuries and fatal crashes on our highways. Roadway intersections and other conflict points like driveways are the most common locations. Anytime traffic enters, exits, or crosses our highways, there is risk. As an example, let's take a look at Highway 82. There are more than 70 private driveways and more than 35 local public road intersections just from Indianola to Greenwood, and twice that number between Winona and Eupora. So that's hundreds and hundreds of decision points along US 82 between Greenville and Columbus. Who wants to slow traffic with 100 stop signs? I didn't think so. So can we all agree that we need traffic engineers and basic standards that we can apply as impartially as possible across the state? Any request for a four-way stop, traffic signal, or roundabout is simply a request for MDOT to have our traffic division investigate and determine what is warranted, not what is wanted. Let's look at our options. Number one, the problem with a four-way stop sign is the traffic patterns may not be so simple. It may stop a lot of traffic unnecessarily, not to mention the folks who decide to roll through them. Then folks ask for flashing red lights above the intersection and flashing approach signs, and problems continue. If one intersection gets a four-way stop, their neighbors ask for the next intersection to get one too. Number two, R-cuts and J-turns also have their fair share of critics. They can certainly be an inconvenience, although the numbers indicate they do save lives. It's longer and more difficult for the cross traffic, but ultimately safer. Number three, traffic signals. They're in high demand and very popular until they're installed. It seems everyone wants the green light and no one wants the red light. Computers and cameras help us manage lighting sequences, timing, turn arrows, and the like, but computers have been known to fail and traffic patterns change. Number four, roundabouts. They're the closest thing we have to everyone getting a green light, or should I say a yellow light. Simply yield to traffic already inside the roundabout and merge in and exit as you're able. In other words, you take a right turn in, you take a right turn out. There's no other options when you're in a roundabout. It's a right turn in and out. How simple is that? Even a child can understand. Still, some intersections rate stop signs, some don't. Some rate traffic signals, and some of those require additional turn lanes, right-of-way, utility moves, and more to install lights safely. J-turns and R-cuts can keep traffic flowing and provide noticeably safer intersections. And yes, even the dreaded and celebrated roundabouts have a place in our system to improve our highway safety. It all begins with a phone call. That phone call could be yours. Just be patient. Everything takes time and money. But please know that your feedback is priceless and appreciated. Thanks again for listening. New podcast episodes will be shedding more light on unique transportation challenges across Mississippi. If you've enjoyed this and are ready for more, please hit the like button below, make a comment, place a review, or share this podcast with a friend. And join our following on Commissioner John Caldwell Facebook page. Until next time, slow down, drive in the right lane, and watch out for that pothole. Bye.